It is well known that the name Jacob has a derogatory sense, as was shown by Esau at their fallout. And so God renamed Jacob to Israel, just as God had renamed his grandfather from Abram to being called Abraham. But notice that when God renames anyone, then that person retains that new name, never again to be called by the former name. Just as he renamed Abraham and there was not an Abram thereafter, as there had been no Abraham before it. But not so with Jacob. And yet God had specified twice to him, saying, "Your name shall not be Jacob." But half the time, when God himself mentions Israel, so does he still bring up Jacob. Why is this so with Jacob and not with Abraham or Isaac? It is because of the concept of a name in the oracles of God concerning reconciling all creation, because all the earth under the heavens comes under labels of the sons of Jacob. As it is written in the blessings that their fathers become multitudes in the earth, or that Abraham is the heir of the world, being so through these sons, the very multitudes that God promised to Jacob when he encouraged him to go to Egypt in Genesis 46 verse 3, saying, "I will make you a great people," but poorly understood as Gentiles half the time. The story goes on respecting multitudes that these fathers were to become. When Jacob was adamant to elevate Ephraim above Manasseh, he explains to Joseph that Ephraim shall become the fullness of the Gentiles. And yet that term Gentile is not used on descendants of Jacob. The same, Gentile, also Balaam saw, saying, "They dwell alone," in Numbers 23 verse 9. But the most interesting place is the well-known Exodus chapter 19 verse 6, also quoted in 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9, where God said to Israel, "And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation." But the terms which God uses are actually holy Gentile, which in that Exodus 19 is translated as nation. And so a casual reader would never guess what is actually being said. That is why Peter brings what was said here to light in 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9. But translators being at a loss as to what to make of these strange phrases, they always opt for the easiest interpretations. But these are the multitudes these fathers become. These peoples they become are often translated as multitudes. And so, becoming a people is another crucial Hebraism to grasp. Becoming a people in the oracles of God doesn't primarily mean to be multitudes in a census. That is a given in prophecies concerning Jacob. But to become a people means nations furnishing their seed to come under any label of the sons of Jacob. That is the idea of becoming a people, as it was shown of Ephraim in Genesis 48 verse 19. But this becoming a people was first fulfilled in Judah, as it is today, signified as grafting in, or as it was in Esther, saying, "And many people became Jews." That is the becoming a people or a multitude. And this is the reason why Jacob keeps popping up when it was said, "Jacob shall no more be called so." Because after that point of changing that name, those whom God would refer to by that name are not Israel in the oracles of God, but by Israel they also become my people, according to Psalm 68 verse 22 or Isaiah 43 verse 21. And it is why Israel and Jacob don't mean the same things in the oracles of God, because as Judah has become a people already, so shall every name of the sons of Jacob also become a people in this respect, but not in this world. Because the term nations and peoples is not static to flesh and blood. That is why it is written of the tribe of Dan, saying, "Dan shall be a serpent," meaning serpents are the creations coming under the name of the tribe of Dan. These are all called Jacob because of their current infamy as rulers over God's creation. That's why God says, "I bring from the depth of the earth" in Psalm 68:22, and also saying that the dragons shall honor me in Isaiah 43:20, because dragons are also called serpents. Therefore, Palestine is not the land of promise, just as Hebrews chapter 4 verse 3 states in Figures, but which also the Sabbath day militants distort to fit their suppositions. So then Jesus Christ is not coming back to Palestine, but to oversee all these realms, based in the realm of rulers called the air in the Gospels, to which also believers are caught up, to be there with him forever, as 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 verse 17 clearly says, and not in Palestine. These are the purposes why Israel's fathers were chosen for servants of God, starting with Noah, and why to Jacob it was said, "Your name is no more Jacob, but Israel," and yet God himself continued to call him Jacob, simply because names which God himself gives are expressions of circumstances and purposes to be accomplished by God through that person with a new name. That also is the meaning of Adam. Therefore, a name of this kind can be given to any whom God is pleased to give it. These ancient fathers knew a lot about millennial realities respecting their sons, but which things we shamefully blunder our way through, whether in reading or in teaching, because God spoke to these ancients about their sons, not about worldly borders as some militants do it today, but in terms of the ultimate realities, which are the eternal dwellings, an example of which are given to Joseph in Genesis chapter 49 verse 26. We blunder because we don't realize that rulers over the earth in invisible high places are also given names of places on the surface of the earth, just as it is with Egypt and Babylon to mean the kingdom of darkness, or Zion to mean the kingdom of God.